quick. I was about to go into the house, and I looked to my left out this window right here, but it would be over there. Okay, I'm facing the area I'm talking about is actually just right over there and down. And I saw something, and it startled me, and it overwhelmed me. And I'm the closest thing that I can describe this as is a vision, and I've talked about a couple of times where I've had dreams, or I've, you feel like the Holy Spirit's moving you to do something and you don't know why you're doing it at the moment, but a month later, a year later, 5 years later, you go, oh, that's what God was doing. Well, I've talked about that. I think that is perfectly in line with a lot of y'all, but I've never had this happen before. And I've been very hesitant to talk about it because this has kind of rocked my world, and I know it's serious, at least I feel it is. And when things like this happen, you wonder, am I losing my mind? Maybe, but now I don't think so. So I look to my left, and over the line of trees, which is very vast, I saw some form of a being. Now, it didn't come down from the sky. It wasn't like I saw it fall down from the sky. It was already above the trees, and it was like it was coming down over the tree line and was landing. I looked up over the tree, and the best way that I can describe this to you, so bear with me, okay? Because I still have questions, and I may never get the answers. It may be something where I won't ever get all the answers. I just need to understand the message. You could just, okay, first of all, it's impossible to describe this because I've never seen anything like this before in my life, and I don't think possibly you have either. The first thing that came to mind was that it was an angel, whether it be an archangel or whether it be a fallen angel. I'm still up in the air, but it was black. It was not white. There was no color. You could see all texture, specifically of wings. So it looked like almost like a human being coming over in the shape of a human, but it had massive wings, detailed wings. I raise birds. I've raised all sorts of fowl, from chicken, hundreds and hundreds of chickens, to turkey, to guinea, to geese. So I'm very familiar with lots of different textures and looks and colors and the layering of feathers. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this. It was the most unbelievable caped feathering, even in its darkness. And, James asked me, he said, was it more of like a shadow? And I said, it could have been, but it happened so fast that it's hard for me to know. I didn't see any armor, no color, no fire, nothing. And it was coming over towards me, like it was going, and it was coming down on its right foot, and it had a sword. And when I tell you how massive this thing is, there's no way for me to describe it I told James, I said, I think what startled me the most was the size. Nothing compares to this. You can believe it if you want. You don't have to believe any of this. And I'm watching this thing it's like it's already coming down and descending onto the earth and landing right as it's starting to land on its right foot. It didn't talk, but I heard a message. Or at least that's the best way I know to describe it. The message that I know, I heard is, we are here. I didn't feel scared. I wasn't intimidated. I did not feel threatened. I did not feel danger from it. I blinked, and then it wasn't there anymore. And so I started looking around, and in the sky was a black buzzard, and it was circling. I did not feel an evil presence. And at all. No threat. And that is very important, because that's one of the first things the pastor asked me. He said, how did it make you feel? And I said, it didn't scare me. It didn't threaten me. It didn't do anything like that. I said, I almost want to think that it would, had I continued with what I was seeing, it's almost like I felt like it was going to just sort of take its wing, which was honestly the size of a school bus, and kind of just push me to the side. That's how I feel, and I hope that's correct. Nobody that I have spoken to feels that this was a demonic presence. One person asked me if I thought it was something fallen, and I said, well, it could be. I said, but the thing is I didn't feel a smothering or a fear or frightened. It was, I'm still overwhelmed by it, by what it is, but number two, the size. Okay. It was rather peaceful, to be honest with you. It was, and when you have the voice of, or the message of, we are here, I could take that several different ways. So, the thing that I'm taking away the most is the message or vision of the spiritual warfare that is happening, I think, and the spiritual warfare that is coming, and what this world's going to go through. And I'm going to tell you what right now. The one thing that I am absolutely, this is making my temperature rise already with the temperatures. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around a war that would involve such unbelievable things. Remember, I texted probably a minute, 2 minutes maybe, prior to seeing this. I wrote on text, the battle is no longer ours. And I think in terms of the level I'm speaking of with that, I think I got my confirmation. We have an important part here in mission, and that is to do the work that we are called to do for God, to bring more people to God. But to feel or think that we can compete with the level that God has warned us about, I'm telling you, no. This is why it's important to put your personal battle and beefs down, and to understand you are being called away from the world to get you right. Because if you are being called like that and you are using your discernment, you have a critical role right now. It's understanding what that is. So I've gotten a huge sense of peace with this as well. I think the point of the vision, if I can call it that, is how real this really is and how massive. Folks, it took me 2 days to stop talking about the size of it, and I'm still talking about it. I can't impress that upon anybody else enough.